Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 34 in the book of Acts. I'm going to title today, Marriage Money Lies. And then the subtitle is A Matter of Life and Death. Now, we ought to pay very close attention to this story because two people are going to end up dead at the end of the story. So here it is. This is Ananias and Sapphira. They are the bad examples. This is from Acts chapter 5, verse 1. But a man named Ananias and with his wife Sapphira sold a piece of property. And with his wife's knowledge, he kept back for himself some of the proceeds and brought only a part of it and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and to keep back for yourself part of the proceeds of the land? While it remained unsold, did it not remain your own? And after it was sold, was it not at your disposal? Why is it that you have contrived this deed in your heart? You have not lied to men, but to God. Wow. When Ananias heard these words, he fell down and breathed his last. And great fear came upon all who heard it. No kidding. All right, verse 6. Young men rose and wrapped him and carried him out and buried him. After an interval of about 3 hours, interesting detail, his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. And Peter said to her, tell me whether you sold the land for so much. And she said, yes, for so much. But Peter said to her, how is it that you have agreed together to test the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of those who have buried your husbands are at the door, and they will carry you out. Immediately she fell down at his feet and breathed her last. When young men came in, they found her dead, and they carried her out and buried her beside her husband. And great fear came upon the whole church and upon all who heard of these things. So here's my first thought. You, ladies and gentlemen, are now hearing of these things. And so we have an opportunity to respond to this just like the people who weren't there, but they heard the story shortly afterwards. So the sin here is not that they had a piece of land or they sold a piece of land. The sin is that they deceived and they didn't align their words to their action. The sin is that they made a conspiracy. They were free to do the right thing with the money. They were free to do anything with the money. The problem is that in their marriage, that is, with his wife's knowledge, they decided to do this together. They have agreed together, it says in verse 9. And what did they agree together to do? To lie about the amount that they were giving to the church, that it was the whole amount that the land was sold for. It wasn't the selling, and it wasn't the giving, and it wasn't the keeping, it was the lying. And that their marriage is now known for this. So, teaching point number 1 is, what is your marriage going to be known for? Take good care of that. What's the problem here is a conspiracy. It's a fraud. It's a fraud against marriage. It's a fraud against the people of God. And really what it is, it's a fraud against God. It says that you have not lied to men, which they did. But the real point is they lied to God. They lied to the Holy Spirit. And obviously don't make your marriage about agreeing together about bad things. So these guys have financial sovereignty. They have sovereignty in their marriage to do the right thing in their marriage. They have sovereignty with their mouths to say the right things and not lie. And then they have sovereignty with regards to this distribution of funds. They can keep it all. They can give it all. But what they do is they give some of it and say that they gave it all, and that was the deception. Now remember, 5 minutes before this, that is in yesterday's podcast, we talked about Barnabas, who sold a piece of land, gave it, and in that selling, in that generosity, he was known as a son of encouragement, even though that was his name. Barnabas' real name is Joe. And here we have the bad example. Now, the bad example actually turns out to be a profound blessing to the church. What a blessing of purification and freedom and self-responsibility must have just come upon the church via these deaths. That there must have been an incredible alignment of behavior and intent and words and heart in the people that were listening. Great fear came upon the whole church and all who heard these things. And I imagine, let's none of us be deceived. Our sin is going to find us out. We just don't find very many stories in the world where our sin finds us out so early and really immediately. So the problem here is they were contriving in deed, contriving in their heart, contriving and using their marriage, as a contrivance vehicle before men, but really it was before God. So we do not have liberty, ladies and gentlemen, to test God, which is what Peter says she was doing, because he had already been dead by this time. How is it you two have agreed together to test the Spirit of the Lord? That is not in our purview, ladies and gentlemen. We are the trustees. And then other thought here is Satan filling the heart. Satan is near, so the book of Acts is about the Holy Spirit, but right outside the door is Satan. So a couple good news here. I think this is a message of financial freedom. Do what you want. You're free to do the right thing with your money. Secondly, it's a message of marital harmony, that your marriage can be known for something. You're on the same team. You can have the same purpose, and you can agree together. The call is to don't lie to God and don't test the Spirit of God. Make your marriage something positive. And another great thing about this is the message of spiritual intimacy. The Lord is sovereign. He sees. His eye is on these people. His ear is close. Now, the message of this soberingness, of this brutal blessing for the church, who wants that? But let's have purity in thought. Let's have purity in deed, purity in marriage, purity within the body of Christ, and do all of this so that we can learn from their example and not desire the evil that they did. Thanks for listening. Let's be careful out there. I'll see you tomorrow.